Hi everyone, this is Maria with social media. This is Maria Almanzar, and of course, here in Vegas, it's 9:36, and the date is December 1st. Okay, so today is Saturday, and so I hope that everybody's having a great weekend. Of course, I am on here because I wanted to talk about something that has been circling around in the news, and it's breaking news. I'm here to talk about, of course, Danilo Payamps Pacheco, and he's one of the, suspects, or one of the suspects that was caught in Junior's murder, and now, of course, he's trying to see if he can get bail of $500,000 for bail, in which he had, of course, they have said and has been circling around that he still has not gotten those 500,000 for the bail. So anyway, my thing is that this man has said that he's innocent and maintains that he is innocent, and that when this happened, Junior's murder happened, he says that he had no involvement, that he didn't even know that this was even going to happen. He was in the car, yes, with Michael Sosa, who they have known each other for a very long time. According to before this happened, before Junior's Junior's murder occurred, they were at a park, and then they got inside a car. He didn't realize that Michael Sosa was even in a gang, I believe, or if he didn't know, I don't think that he even probably didn't realize that what was just about to happen was a murder. And once Danilo was in the car and he was with him, but he says that he came out of the car seconds before things got hot, and when he saw machetes and a young boy yelling out, he, I guess, was gesturing to Michael Sosa to let's go. He didn't want to be involved in whatever was going on. He says he was never a gang member, was never in a meeting of any gang member, and didn't realize that this was even occurring or even plotted. Of course, we all know that Michael Sosa did go inside the bodega, and what was Junior's last moments, he did say that Michael Sosa was saying to the bodegueros that Junior stole his grandmother's money. Michael Sosa, he hit an old lady, and that's when everything began, and they started taking Junior out of the bodega. But Danilo is a family man. He has never been arrested, doesn't have a previous charges or any criminal background, and is a family man. Like I said, they claim that he is and was a very good student. Isn't a man who gets involved in any kind of trouble, and I guess that's why he was asking for the 500,000 bail bond. And of course, like they have said and has been circulating around, that as of yet he hasn't been able to gather the 500,000 for the bail. Now, my opinion is, and I'm going to say this because I feel that since everybody has put in their their opinion, and I am going to say this because it's very important. Do I believe that he's innocent? I don't know. I really can't say anything in regards to that until things unfold. That he knew Michael Sosa, yes. I don't know why he came out of the car, you know. I don't know why he was even gesturing to Michael Sosa to come. You know, usually when you're innocent of something, you just like, either you get out of the car or, you know, you try to steer away from that kind of situation. Apparently he says that it was seconds when Danilo came out of the car and was probably in panic, you know, saying, I don't want to get involved in this, you know. And, you know, being him a family man, we do not see him, Danilo Payamps Pacheco, actually, you know, inside the bodega. He never was never face to face with Junior, never touched Junior. I don't think no contact was ever, no contact shows that, the video shows no contact with, you know, with Danilo or in the group. And just because you're in a car, yes, sure, doesn't really indicate that he really knew what was going on. But also, on another hand, there were a lot of others who were chasing Junior down. This is where my confusion is. Pacheco was in the car and since they knew each other very well, and they know each other for years now, in fact, did Pacheco even ask Sosa what's going on? And he could have said, drop me off here, I don't want to be involved. That's my opinion. But, you know, like I said, people don't look at things like that. What they do see is what they want to see, and what they do know is what they are hearing. Me personally, you know, he could be innocent, but also since he knows Michael Sosa for such a long time, did at any point Michael Sosa confided in him, well, look, things are about to go down, and this is going to happen? Or did he say, look, I'm chasing after that kid, he's part of a gang? Also, it could have been that, yes, he might not have known that Michael Sosa was in a gang or even a leader of a gang. But this goes to show that if you have a friend who is not really confiding in you and tells you, come on, you know, have a ride with me, come down here, you know, and I have to do something, I have to take care of business. Well, most certainly you want to know what kind of business, if he's your friend and confides in you, what kind of business is he in? Because this is how people get killed, and this is how people go to prison. And sometimes, due to that, you can be an innocent bystander and not know what's going on, and you could be faced with charges without you even being guilty of the charge. And it's a very tricky situation because, you know, here's a man who's asking for, bail because he claims that he's innocent. Well, at any point, did he even say or even communicated with Sosa, look, what's going on? And he could have said, well, drop me off here. I do not want to be involved in that. I do not want you to take me any further. I just want to be dropped off here. I got to go to my family. Why did Pacheco come out of the car and even gesture to Michael Sosa, come on, let's go? I don't want to be involved. Well, you should have said that before this was occurring. And you didn't have to go all the way to where he was going to go. If he did confide in you at any point in the car, did you even notice that other cars were following Michael Sosa? Once you knew that this was happening, did you even attempt to get out of the car and not drive off with Michael Sosa? Because this, you know, is very tricky, like I said before. You know, why would you want to drive off with a person who, first of all, is having a hit on a kid? And, you know, if you're seeing machetes, I'm guaranteeing you that you're going to run the other way. Or I'm even guaranteeing, look, I'm not getting involved. I don't care how I have to get. I don't know. I don't care how I have to go. Even if it's by foot, I don't care how I have to go. I'm going to leave out of this situation. And another thing too that I want to point out, because it's important to point it out. If you see a crime, and I know that he probably was very scared because this man is a family man, and of course he says that he was not involved in a gang. He never was in a meeting of the Trinitarios, was not a Trinitario, had no kind of previous arrests, had no criminal background. Very respectable, I guess, young man, and says, according to people and who know him very well, who know Pacheco very well, they say that he's a very good kid and was never ever involved in anything fishy or anything that had to or related to any kind of crimes or any criminal activities. But here again, I mean, you could be a nice person and not get involved, but if you know and you're confident of that person and you know that person very well, and you're going to follow, are you going to follow your friend even to death, even to your death? And at one point, if you know that something is happening to a kid and you're seeing it, he said that he saw machetes. Okay, well, did it occur to you to get out of the car and say, well, I'm going to try to get help? I don't care how tough that gang member is. If you have children, believe me, what goes around comes around. And I am being hard because he's not a kid. He's not like, he's not a kid that he's innocent. If he has a family and he has a child, well, wouldn't you think to protect another child? Wouldn't you think that, wow, I don't want this to happen to my child. Let me go get help. And immediately as you saw machetes, well, dang, call the cops, go out. I'm just saying, it's like, okay, nobody wants to be in prison for something that they didn't do. Or he didn't do it directly to Junior. But everything to me seems like, okay, I want to get out of here. And I don't want to be involved in this. And I don't want to be in here. I want to be free. But you have to look at the other side of things, is that, first of all, why did you get out of the car? Michael Sosa doesn't need you to signal, let's get out of here. You could have gone by foot and not even, I don't care. You just leave. But again, I may be talking nonsense. I know I may be talking bullshit, That's the way I see it, if you really cared and you say that you weren't really involved, why did you go back inside the car? Would have been better that you would have just left the scene, and left the scene not on purpose, like to leave the scene and not call. Like, why didn't you call? Why didn't you call 911? Or, it's okay. You're nervous. I know that you're nervous, and you're saying to yourself, well, what is happening here? What's going on here? And once you see machetes, of course, you don't want that to be turned on to you. But, my thing is, did you know that, he says and he claims that he didn't know that this was going to happen. Okay, you didn't know. Why didn't you flee? Or why didn't you call the cops? Or, you didn't have to stick around. And you didn't have to go back inside the car. And, and did you even realize that Sosa was going back to the Dominican Republic? I mean, it's not like it's not like he didn't know him. I mean, he's been knowing Michael Sosa for years. So I'm trying to make sense of everything that he's saying and trying to say that he's innocent of what, he's innocent of everything that has happened, and that he had no direct contact with Junior. But however, You fled with the very same person that ordered Junior's death. Okay? So I don't care what people say. This is the way I see it. Okay? And what is my opinion is that nobody, if he does get out on bail, what they should do is house arrest him. Because once Pacheco comes out in the streets, his ass is going to be chased by the very same people who killed Junior, or who ordered his killing, or who ordered the hit on Junior. So I hope that by him wanting his bail, he's not actually asking for his death, because usually that's what usually happens. And the cops are not here, they're not gonna protect you. It's not like what they're doing to Sosa. I don't know how they got to Sosa to snitch on everyone, but most definitely they're not going to protect you or your family. And so before you think about giving up that bail, or wanting that bail so desperately, which I know that you do, I suggest that you flee, because it's going to be very tough for this man once he gets out. And hopefully his family are not a target already because of him saying that he's innocent and he had no involvement in it. Well, guess what? To the Trinitarios, you were involved the minute that you got in that car. You were involved once you got out of that car and saw the machetes. And you are involved once you fled with Michael Sosa. What you should have done is never got in the car. And if you did get in the car and he did confide in you that this was going down, your action should have been, I don't want to get involved. I don't want anything to do with that. Get me out of this car right now. Let me off here. But you went with him all the way through. You went with him. It's not like it's not, I don't believe that he didn't know. I think that, yes, he said he wasn't involved, but I don't think that he didn't know that Michael Sosa was about to do something that was not good. And once he realized that, he got out of the car, and that's why he said, he was gesturing, come on, come on. And guess what? Bam, they caught you. You were one of those suspects. So don't think that just because you got your $500,000, which, of course, you still haven't gathered that money, but think about it, people. Just think about it, and I just want, people to realize that, like if you have a friend that's involved in a gang, or you feel not right, and you know that something is not going down very good, don't get inside the car with somebody that you suspect has, bad activity going on. Don't get in the car if you feel that something is not going right and something terribly wrong is going to happen. And so don't stay in the car because you think that just because you weren't involved directly to the victim, that it makes it okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And of course, the evidence is there. He did get out of the car. The evidence is there. And Michael Sosa did chase Junior, like all the 4 vehicles chased Junior. And even though he says he wasn't involved, he still fled with Michael Sosa. He fled. He didn't fly. He didn't fly to the Dominican Republic. But in some case, he must have known in one point when he was in the car, he must have asked him, why was this happening? And in one point, Michael Sosa must have revealed or confided in him and said, look, I'm going to leave out of the state. So I don't believe that, because he's known him for a very, very long time. They've been knowing each other for a very, very long. You know, it's not like he was beginning to know him. You know, he became buddies that day. They knew each other for a very long time. So, you know, what I think is that even though he wasn't directly responsible for Junior's death, I do believe that he knew what was going down. Only that when he saw machetes, I don't think that he knew that machetes were going to go down. But once he saw machetes, he got scared. What he should have done is immediately call the cops and not let it go further than what it did. He could have saved Junior's life in a sense, and not Michael Sosa know about absolutely anything. But you continue to go with him in flee in the car with him instead of just leaving. Now, they were all busy doing their shit. You easily could have gone away and they not noticed it because they were too busy doing their shit. So I'm just saying, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm talking a lot of garbage, maybe, but this is the way I feel. And that's all I have to say. This is exactly how I feel. That he's a family man, okay, that he's probably a good man, and he didn't have no criminal background, and, he went to school, was a straight A kid, never, missed school, is not involved in any kind of gang-related activities or any criminal gang-related activities, and that this was actually his first time being in prison and actually being in trouble. And, he's saying that he's innocent, that he had no kind of involvement in the murder of Junior. But my thing is that, you had to have known in one point that Michael Sosa was, and why would you even drive in a car that, okay, maybe you didn't know at that point, but, did Michael Sosa even, relate to you that, look, this is what's going to go down? And that even though you got to the place and you saw the machete, because you even said you saw the machetes and, weapons flying around, and this kid is being butchered, your first reaction should have been, I'm going to call the cops. And you had time to, I don't care what direction you ran, you had time to get out of that scene. You had time to run. You shouldn't have gone back into the car with Michael Sosa. I don't care. And how nervous you were, you should have never gotten back in the car, which makes it very suspicious to me that you being so innocent like you claim, and you get back in the car with someone who just finished giving the okay of dragging out a young boy, a 15-year-old boy, to his death. So I don't know what Michael Sosa told him in between when they were chasing Junior, but did you even, and that's a good point too, did Danilo Pacheco even know that he was chasing down a 15-year-old, and why? Did he even question it? That's all I'm trying, and that is my opinion. That is what I think. But then again, people have other opinions, and I would like to know about them. Please put them in the comment. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And just think about it. Think about, the in-betweens. The driving, when he was in the car, you know, and I know that I'm probably getting into details that mean nothing because we will never know what actuality happened inside the car and what was their discussion. But what we do know is that he does say that he does come out of the car, and you do see him gesturing, and you do see him get back in the car. It's not like he's running towards the gang members, you know. It's not like he's going towards the gang members and getting involved in what was going on with Junior and the Trinitarios. It wasn't like that at all. But yet, they pinpointed him and they arrested him as one of the suspects. And now, you know, he has a $500,000 bail in which he has to fork up the money. And when he does, most likely he'll be free. So I don't know how this is going to turn out, whether they will give him a sentence. And if they do, I think that, you know, it should fit to what was going on, and it should fit to what, you know, he's just as guilty. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, he fled the place. He's just as guilty, only he was not involved directly to the murder. But he was most definitely someone who witnessed a murder. Okay, so this is what I'm getting at. And so, you know, there could have been a lot of things he could have done, but yet he chose to fled with Michael Sosa. So I guess he wasn't that scared. He just fled. Because me being in that, I would get the hell out of there, and I would bail ass out of there. I would bail ass, let me tell you. So that's what I think, and I think that yes, he should be tried like all of the rest. I'm sorry. That is my opinion. Everyone have a good evening. This is Moepa Social Media, and please have a great and safe weekend. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to have another live soon. Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.